Thank you for your comments. First, you can't examine conflicts such as these without understanding the history of the region. The region that is now known as Palestine is one of the most often conquered areas of the world over the past 3,000 years, and was among the earliest regions in the world to see human habitation. In the Bronze Age, over 3,000 years ago, it was inhabited by the Canaanites, a Semitic group. It's approximately when Judaism was founded. Then it was two Israeli kingdoms, Israel and Judah, as well as the Philistines. Subsequently, it was the Assyrians, the Babylonians, the Persians, Alexander the Great, and the Greeks. Then the Romans annexed the area in 63 BC, beginning a long control of about 600 years, where it became the center of Christianity. Then Islam started in about the year 610 in Mecca in Saudi Arabia. From there, several Muslim ruling dynasties succeeded each other until the Christian Crusaders and the Kingdom of Jerusalem took over. Next up was the Mongols Empire, the Egyptians, and finally the Turkish Ottoman Empire that ruled the region for approximately 400 years until the British captured it during World War I, and the League of Nations gave Britain mandatory power over the region in 1922. British colonial rule led to sectarian violence between Arabs and Jews, eventually causing the British government to announce its intention to terminate the mandate in 1947. This, of course, was 2 years after what we discovered the Nazis' horrific final solution while defeating Germany. The United Nations General Assembly recommended partitioning the region into two states, one Arab, one Jewish. The Arabs rejected the partition plan, the Jews accepted it, and with it the State of Israel. In 1948, 5 nearby Arab countries invaded, but Israel prevailed and entered agreements to formal armistice lines with the bordering nations. These held until 1967, when the Six-Day War occurred. This was preceded by Syria closing the Gulf of Aqaba to Israeli shipping, skirmishes over the previous year, and a joint defense pact from Egypt, Jordan, and Iraq. Israel attacked and in 6 days gained control over Gaza, the West Bank, the Golan Heights, and the Sinai Peninsula. Skirmishes continued until the Yom Kippur War of 1973, which started with an attack on Israel by Egypt and Syria. Ultimately, Israel repelled the attack. In 1977, Israel and Egypt entered a peace treaty. Jordan became the second country to enter a peace treaty with Israel in 1994 after the 1993 Oslo Accords. As of today, 165 countries recognize Israel and only 28 countries do not. 15 members of the Arab League, including Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Kuwait, Libya, Qatar, Lebanon, Yemen, Oman, Syria, and 10 non-Arab members of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, including Afghanistan, Bangladesh, North Korea, and Iran, do not acknowledge Israel's existence. They're surrounded by countries who don't acknowledge their existence. There were offers for a two-state solution in 1947, 1993, 1995, 1998, 2000, and 2008. Each of those solutions were turned down by the leaders of Palestinians, while since 1947, the population of the region has exploded. In 1947, there were about 2 million people in the region, 630,000 Jews, 143,000 Christians, and over 1.1 million Muslims. In 2023, that jumped to 7.7 million Jews, only 230,000 Christians, and 6.7 million Muslims, of which 1.7 million live peacefully in Israel. As you can see, the history of this region is long and it's complicated. And you would have to be well into your 80s to remember a time when Israel was not recognized as a state by 85% of the other countries in the world. Clearly, I am mayor of the village of Orland Park. This is the board of Orland Park. I'm not a state representative or senator. I'm not a state elected official. I'm not a U.S. congressman. I'm not a U.S. senator. The board and I have zero impact on U.S. foreign policy. This is an incredibly complicated foreign policy issue that has no bearing, none, on the management, operation, or governance of the village of Orland Park. Orland Park residents are highly divided on this current issue in the Middle East, and therefore we're not getting involved.